Hey guys, how are you? So welcome everybody to our very first episode, right? Our pilot of Dinner with the Girls. So excited to have you here.
So excited to be having dinner with one of my really good friends. This is so much fun.
It is so much fun. So what's Dinner with the Girls, right? What is Dinner with the Girls? Well, when we think of Dinner with the Girls, think of dinner with our ladies. I personally think of like the funnest things to talk about, catching up on, all of the gossip, the books, the TV shows, what's going on in our lives, and over really good food. I don't know. Is that what comes to your mind?
Yeah, totally. Dinner with the girls means friends, means eating good food that for me means also healthy and tasty, because dinner with the girls is like not dinner with my husband.
Right?
and yeah, all those things.
So what we were thinking is, Yasmin and I thought long and hard about this, and we're like, why can't we have dinner with the girls anytime we want? Why can't we join each other once a week, even though we're not even in the same city, and have dinner together? And why can't we make it so that we're making, like, as you said, food that tastes amazing, food that's good for you, food that we can share with you guys, and some knowledge as well. Like, that sounds super fun to me. So,
right? I mean, I talk about, knowledge, health stuff with my girlfriends. So yeah, why not everybody else?
Exactly. So here we are. So should we talk about our very first meal ever?
Absolutely. Yeah. Our first dinner together. I love it. Grilled cheese, one of my favorite things to eat. Woot woot. Like, this is comfort food. Totally. And I just gotta show this cheese.
Let's see it. That's like commercial worthy right there. That's a commercial.
There's something about the sights and sounds and smells of cooking grilled cheese. I know for me, it's an emotional thing. I remember, as a young person cooking grilled cheeses for my sister. She was sick. So it was just something we did that, it tasted good. The cheese tastes good. The butter that you cook, it tastes good. The smell of the bread, grilled cheese is like ultimate comfort food for me.
And food is emotional, right? I know me and you talk about this all the time, and I talk about it a lot with my clients. We're never going to take that emotional component out of food, and I don't believe that we ever should. So it's about feeding the emotions, but at the same time, making sure that we're nourishing the body using ingredients to do so. So my emotional attachment is different than yours, but I have a huge emotional attachment to it nonetheless. This was just a meal that my mom would always make at lunch. My mom stayed at home until I was about 8. So I'd walk home from school every single lunch, and the Flintstones would be on the TV. And usually at least a couple times a week, there would be this bomb amazing grilled cheese. Okay. So that's my emotional component to it. And plus, as you know, the fact that I am completely cheese obsessed, which is also hugely emotional, but was also a huge downfall for me in my health. So maybe can I talk a little bit about what's in my grilled cheese? What I have here on my plate?
Yeah, please do.
Ready, guys? So this is my grilled cheese. So starting off with the bread, I have an organic sprouted whole grain bread. All right. Wheat is hugely genetically modified. It's like the Franken wheat. And it's not great, for a lot of things in our body, primarily inflammation. So I'm using a sprouted organic wheat. So we're not getting that genetically modified grain. If you are gluten-free, it's not going to work for you. However, these grains are different than the whole wheat you're getting in that conventional bread. So always starting off with a really great bread. And inside, okay, actually, let's talk about the outside first. Outside, to get this beautiful crispness, I actually use avocado oil. As a plant-based eater. Yeah, it gives you that crispness. Now, it might not give you that buttery goodness taste, which
that smell and but I mean, that's I like
yeah.
that idea.
But I get a lot of the health benefits of the avocado oil. Again, it has a high smoke point. The oil, it doesn't go rancid, etc. And then inside, I have my absolute 2 favorite plant-based cheeses and a whole lot of mushrooms. So I'm going to try to separate this here. It's cooled down a bit. So this is, can I get a picture just popped up in the corner here of Green Goddess Brick House? That is the cheese that is in here today, okay? It melts amazing. And my second cheese, you might be able to see it a bit whiter. Let me put this down on this side, is their cream cheese in garlic and chive. So it is a double dose of cheese. We got the melty cheddar. We got the cream cheese. You get that garlic and herb taste. And then mushrooms. Yeah, as you know, mushrooms are magic. They are magical for your health, right? So for me, anytime that I can layer nutrition, then I can raise the nutritional bar. It's what I'm going to do. So simply adding like 3 ounces of mushrooms is all that you need. And why? Going back to why am I not using the cheesiest of cheese ever? Because I'm such a cheesehead. Cheese was a huge part of my past. I probably ate cheese from the moment I had teeth. Every single meal, it was cheese on top of cheese on top of cheese. And for my body, dairy was the root of most of the things that I was experiencing, especially over years, over decades. I had huge amount of chronic inflammation, huge amount of allergies, asthma, chronic dermatitis, issues with yeast, you name it. And this took a huge impact on my life. So when I started to cut the dairy out, it was hard, but thank goodness I found an amazing alternative. I also make a lot of my own cheeses with cashews, and that's what works for this body. And obviously you have to have a pickle, right?
Yeah, I was thinking I need a pickle.
These are living pickles. They are alive, so they're actually fermented, so great for the microbiome. And guys, did you like Yasmin? Were you like a can of tomato soup girl?
Totally. Oh my gosh, my mom, I think that's her favorite Campbell's soup. It was always that. And then you would dip the grilled cheese in the soup.
Oh, I lost a mushroom. Like so. Is this what we're talking about here?
Yeah.
So this is the TLC tomato bisque. This is a must-have.
Oh, it's one of my favorite recipes of yours, by the way, that tomato bisque. Oh my God, it's just so good. And it's so creamy.
Yeah, I would like to say it's probably my favorite soup too. Thank you. So that is why creamy cheese with creamy bisque, it's perfect. So now that I took a bite, I want to eat more and more and more. Can we please hear all about?
Well, let me share my rendition of the healthier grilled cheese, because to be honest, back in the day when I was making grilled cheese, it was on white bread, probably with margarine and cheese slices and you remember back in the day that Velveeta cheese? Oh
yeah, we had the Velveeta cutter.
Oh, that in the grilled cheese used to just so I don't eat that anymore. And diet is something that it's a progression. You don't go from eating Velveeta white bread grilled cheeses to fully plant-based, because
totally
that emotion, there's that emotion that makes it a bit hard to transition so quickly. So for me, there's a step towards the amazing food that you put together, which is taking the ingredients of the grilled cheese and just upping them a little bit in their nutrition level. So I'm also using a sprouted bread. So I just, grab this. It usually you keep it in the freezer, you buy it in the freezer. Silver Hills is one of my favorite. They make all different kinds of bread. So
that's what I'm using too.
Right? So sprouted wheat all the way. And really, yes, it has gluten, but I find my body doesn't react to sprouted bread the other kinds of gluten out there.
So maybe you could take a sec, just because we're on the topic and I didn't go through it. Why is sprouted different? Why are we both using sprouted breads?
Amazing question. Yeah. So what it means is that the wheat, the grain, and correct me if I'm wrong in any of this, please. So the wheat has gone through some sprouting process, so, like when you put beans on the counter and, sprouts come out, like it's like that. And then they're grinding that down to make the flour. And so it just really increases the nutrition because it's more alive. And anything that's sprouted, it's a young plant, so very high nutrition. So that's what I think of when you pick the sprouted wheat.
And if I could add one thing, the reason I think that we don't react how we usually do, is that also because we're soaking. As it's sprouting, we're soaking that grain and we're getting rid of those enzyme inhibitors that surround the grain. So these are things, that make it more difficult for our enzymes to break down what we eat. So when we soak that, it's like, bye. And now we have a product that's more digestible.
And the other really great thing about this bread is it's pretty kid friendly. Most people find it very easy to transition to. So, it's not like going straight to gluten-free bread. Which
I agree
can be trickier. So that's the bread. And then for the butter, I am using grass-fed butter. So what that means is this butter is made from animals, like from the milk of animals that ate grass, from cows that ate grass. And when cows eat grass, as they're supposed to, right? Because they have 4 stomachs, we learn like in grade school that they have 4 stomachs to eat grass, then the fat in the butter becomes a little less inflammatory. It has a better ratio of omega-3s to omega-6s. So it is a better choice when you're going to use butter is, go for grass-fed. What the animal ate is so important. So that's what I cooked it in to, get my nice brown,
beautiful
crispiness. And then on the inside, so I am using cheese. So this is dairy today, and I'm using a grass-fed cheese. So this brand, hopefully you can see it okay, Thornlow, makes really great cheeses. And this one's mozzarella, just because, I like mozzarella cheese. And typically when you're getting cheeses, it's better to go for more of the aged cheeses, like an aged mozzarella, not that typical mozzarella that's very squishy. We want it to be a little bit more aged because then it's going to be naturally lower in lactose. And, if there's potential for good bacteria, because some cheeses do have, some better bacteria in them, aged is the way to go. So, and then ketchup.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like you need tomato to go with grilled cheese. That's just like my thought. And so if I'm not having soup, then, and so this is just an organic ketchup that I picked up, and now that I'm talking about this, I need to have a bite.
Take a bite. And I just like to go back and touch upon the methodology and getting to where we are that works for us and our health. It's not an overnight thing. So when you talk about, we're eating 2 very different grilled cheese. And that's the beauty of it, because these grilled cheeses are both working for our specific bodies, our specific belief systems, our emotional needs, etc. And they're both very different. So this is such an important time to bring up the fact that there is not one way of eating, that there's not one size fits all, right? Like you have this beautiful grilled cheese, I have this beautiful grilled cheese. And can I also let everybody know out there, and too, Yas, that you don't go from cheese every single meal to plant-based cheese. It was a nightmare. I was a horrendous person for probably 5 years, probably more, trying to find the right cheese to fill that emotional void. And this doesn't mean that I never have cheese. That's the thing again with labels. I label myself as a primarily plant-based eater. Yes, I'm 100% vegetarian. I don't eat any meat whatsoever. I will have cheese now and again. And you know what I mean? And like you said, all of the qualities you brought up, it's the specific cheeses that you're looking for that are lower in lactose that are going to be better for the body. So yeah, I love these 2 different variations, and I hope that it inspires you guys to make your own comfort foods, seek out some of the products that we're using, right? And kind of elevate your grilled cheese, add some more nutrition to it. Oh yeah, because it's a long way from Kraft Singles, and mine was Blue Bonnet margarine and legit Kraft Singles, and not one. There was probably like, I don't know, like 3.5. My mom's always like, "Why? Where's all the Kraft Singles?" And I'm like, in my belly, like it was a lot.
Totally. And I would eat one, I'd open it and eat it as I was making it.
Same here. You got to ripping it in half, just putting that plastic on your, so
it's like, even like as you like pulled it, there was even, just some satisfaction in like, and then eat a little bit and then pull a little bit. Oh. But I have to say, the Green Goddess cheese, so I've tried it, and man, that is some good stuff. And just to let everybody know, especially in my area, in the Barrie area, that Green Goddess is at goodness me. So like you can get it. It's not like this stuff is that hard to find anymore. Like 5-10 years ago, like good luck. But I'd love for you, actually, Tanya, just to take a moment to mention Green Goddess and how they're different than the other vegan cheeses out there. Because there's some vegan cheeses that have a bad rap that like, I'm like, you know what? I just rather not have cheese than eat that. So why is Green Goddess better? Like, please.
You and me both. Like, I'm not going to mention brand names, but there's some where I'm like, I will go without. Yeah. So here's the thing with Green Goddess. They're actually using whole food ingredients. Like, cashews and coconut oil. And they are actually artisan cheesemakers. So instead of just, using plant-based ingredients, throwing together cheeses with lemons and cashews and hoping for the best, and usually it's a spreadable cheese, more of like, a liquidy cheese kind of thing. They are literally making cheese how, classic cheese is made, using the same methodology with whole plant food ingredients. And I go there and I don't have to be like, oh, do I get to pick orange or do I get to pick mozzarella? I'd be like, no, there is literally like 40 different kinds. Feta, from like, again, mozzarella to like halloumi to cream cheese, obviously. I can go in and pick any cheese I want. So this has actually really been a game changer for me. And if you guys have the opportunity, we'll put their website up here. I'll put their website up, right now so you guys can see it. And they're in so many different places. So whether you're in Yasmin's area, Guelph, where their store actually is, all over the GTA. It's a great way to kind of transition. And you don't have to just be grass-fed cheese or plant-based cheese. You have both, right, Yas?
Yeah, totally. I enjoy both. Absolutely. So yeah, because there's sometimes when I know for me, I need to bring the cheese down a little bit, because there's definitely times that I'm like, okay, I'll have the grass-fed cheese, but cheese doesn't always love me, and I have to say, like, for me, you shared a little bit about your health with cheese, and
yeah,
for me, it is just hormone nightmares. Like, I'm talking menstrual stuff, so like PMS, heavy periods, even, sometimes acne and cramps, menstrual cramps. And so I know, like, when it comes to that, I've been having a little bit too much grass-fed cheese or too much butter. Like, I had to quit putting butter in my coffee for the bulletproof coffee, because I knew it was upsetting the balance. So that's when, I really will enjoy, the vegan cheeses, especially, like, I just wanted to say about Green Goddess, how they're different. But there's even some other brands that are pretty good to try. So it is okay to switch a little bit back and forth, especially because I'm transitioning. I have goals to really bring my dairy down to 0 for a period of time. Because that's the other thing, is I'm pretty sure I have a food intolerance to dairy. And so it's, admitting that to myself and knowing that my hormones are going to be influenced by the inflammatory nature of the dairy, and the fact that it's a food intolerance can really upset hormone balance. So, yeah.
And yeah, absolutely. Again, I truly believe, yeah, dairy is definitely a common root. We know that definitely dairy is a common root for a lot of the clients and the patients that you're seeing. Are there any other top reasons why you would recommend a client maybe to ease back on the grass-fed cheeses or whatever and, you know, kind of reduce it? Like, what are the top reasons that you're recommending for your patients?
Top reasons where it's gotta go, where you have to take a serious break is uterine fibroids and ovarian cysts, because it actually adds to like that growth formation of, you know, like we can say it adds to tumor formation, whether the tumor is cancerous or not, you know, and fibroids are like a growth, or cysts are like an abnormal growth. And so the dairy can really add to those problems. So that's, you know, beyond just the period problems, but actually like full stop. If that's going on in your body, you really need to take a break from dairy. And I'd love to go into some of the Chinese TCM parts of dairy, because in Chinese medicine, we look at how foods have different properties. You know, some are cooling, some are heating, some are, you know, adding to dampness. And dairy really adds to dampness in the body. So, you know, a very obvious sign of dampness is when you have like that thing in your throat, like, you know, you're working up and then nothing comes up and, you know, it's there. And I have a little bit of that today. That's how I know I need to have a little less dairy. You know, I need to take a little break coming up. But in Chinese medicine, they also believe that it adds to dampness in the lower burner. So that means like the lower half of our abdomen, like where our uterus is. So it's believed that dairy really adds to that dampness, and dampness causes like stagnation in the body. So that's also how it's adding to that like tumor formation of fibroids or imbalance, you know, and growth, like the cysts. So I thought I'd, you know, mention that aspect.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And I'd also like to mention, if you don't mind, the connection between dairy and yeast, right?
Yeah, massive.
I don't know if you guys can hear, my dog is sleep barking.
It's
pretty loud. So, you know, if you hear some weird barking in the background, that's Pete, you know, dreaming of cheese, maybe, I don't know. But so yeast, and we hear, you know, about candida, and everybody's like, oh, I have candida, check for candida. And sometimes people are like, wait, what's candida? Candida is a yeast, obviously, that we know that is present in the body, and it's a yeast that can take over essentially. And you know that yeast loves some simple sugars, right? Including lactose, right? And you feed your yeasts, I picture them all just sitting there waiting with their mouths open. You start feeding them the lactose, you know, throwing them in all of their mouths, and they're going to grow, and they are going to grow, and they are going to take over your body. And no, not overnight, but again, everybody's different, over months, years, and decades. Yeah, it's working really loud now. So that was the case with me, and I have no problem sharing that. And you might think, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, well, I don't get a lot of yeast infections, so I'm not yeasty per se. Listen, it is not always in the form of yeast infections. It's not like I had a yeast infection every other day, all right? That wasn't the case. Sure, you know, I've had my share of them or whatever, but as time went on, you realize even when you change your diet, that yeast is there to stay until you make some major changes. And that yeast comes up as things that, you know, you typically wouldn't even think of, like chronic pain.
Yes.
Right? It can come up as even brain fog, anxiety.
Yep, depression.
All of these things. So this candida, we could do a whole talk on that, but that's not the point, is at the root of so many things. And also, I actually want to talk a little bit about dampness as well. Just something that you mentioned as well. When we think of like yeasts and fungus and stuff, where do they thrive? In damp, dingy environments. So the more that we're feeding them the lactose, you know what I mean? And the more that we're creating this damp, dark, almost stagnant environment, they're like, yo, thanks for housing me and feeding me. We're here to stay. So that was one of the biggest things for me, was that buildup of yeast, that buildup of candida, and not even knowing it for years and decades, until like I was like, maybe this is all of the root. And for me, it turned out to be. And now that I have that under control, like you, I can have dairy now and again, as I mentioned, but for me, for health wise, for my body, you know, and the things that, you know, I stand up for in my life and feel right for me, Green Goddess, this is such an amazing substitute, you know, and that connection's still there. So.
Oh, just to add on to the candida talk, you know, that candida is, or yeast, is a natural part of our microbiome, you know, that gut bacteria that's in our digestive system. And P.S., 6 pounds of bacteria live in our intestine. To me, that just blows my mind, because bacteria, you don't see bacteria. So to measure it in pounds is insane. And in medicine, we're learning that this gut microbiome is basically like an organ by itself, and that the health of it really affects things that we don't even fully understand, things like our immune system, our mental health, how we digest food. Like it's massive. So when we're, you know, talking about dairy, you know, when you transition to eating less, it is such a good thing to do for that microbiome. Yeah. Amazing.
1000%. So guys, I think that, you know, the pros, the cons, when we're talking about dairy, you know, what to look for when you're buying your cheese, plant-based or other, right? And yes, thanks for sharing all of that information and your grilled cheese, which looked, again, commercial worthy. You know what? The craft singles wouldn't have done that. So it's a vast improvement, even for like visuality, right?
Totally. The sights and sounds and smells. It's a thing.
For sure. So what are we eating next week?
I want to do tacos. They're also one of my favorite meals. And you can do them so many different ways.
I'm in. So like Taco Tuesday next week? Taco Tuesday
for dinner. Whoop, whoop.
Oh my God. Okay. So thanks for joining me for dinner. It was so fun.
Yes. Thank you for having me for dinner and doing this. This is so much fun. I look forward to our next videos and having dinner with everybody. Sorry. Gary, and having dinner with everybody.
All right. Well, I'm not going to lie. I'm hungry. I'm going to go eat the rest of this grilled cheese because it's hard not to eat without you guys seeing what's in my mouth and stuff like that. And we're going to meet for tacos next week.
I'm in.
Okay. See you later.
Bye.